Hey guys, we're going to talk about the experience I had doing a 10-day silent meditative retreat called Vipassana. How I felt before going into the event and how I felt afterwards. Christopher Dedeyan here. So I wanted to do this video to explain how I'm feeling before going to the meditative retreat and afterwards. So I'm going to do a 10-day silent meditative retreat, which is called a Vipassana meditation. And for the people who don't know Vipassana meditation, it's actually a form of meditation that was practiced by Buddha himself and transmitted down to everybody else. So what it is you're gonna go do a meditation retreat for 10 days, completely silent, and you're not allowed to have contact with other people. The people that are there are just gonna be there. You're gonna have vegetarian food. It's gonna be an experience. It's waking up at 4 a.m., meditating like several times during the day. I'll actually link up the schedule that they sent me. You guys will see it right now. And it seems a bit crazy, honestly. It seems a bit intense. But I'm somebody that loves to really put myself out of my comfort zone to really try to grow. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not trying to go there to try to find an aha moment or anything like that. But like I said, I always like to challenge myself. And for the people who don't know me, I'm actually a professional speaker and a peak performance coach. So I love to speak. To tell me not to speak for 10 days, I think that in itself is going to be challenging. Now that being said, I actually practice my own form of meditation for 40 minutes per day, every single day, quite consistently. So I'm not completely unknown to the meditating world. But to do it for 10 days, that's beyond anything that I've ever done. So I'm really looking forward to trying it out, to being most probably uncomfortable and most probably having aha moments. But I'm really going in there with setting the intention of just going in and having the experience that I'm supposed to have. I don't want to set a specific goal or anything like that. I just want to be in that present moment and have whatever is going to happen with me. Now, this is something that I was actually thinking for many years to do, and it's just kind of in line right now where I'm at in my journey to really do this, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll give you more details after I'm done. This is actually one day before the event, so I'm looking forward to it. So I just arrived, kind of excited, actually very excited, and pretty nervous as well. Let's see what's gonna happen. Oh my God, I just finished a silent 10-day meditative retreat. It was simultaneously one of the hardest things I've ever done and one of the most fulfilling. It was truly, inspirational, and I got so many aha moments out of it. But I want to let future Christopher tell us all about that. Thank you, past Chris. So let's jump into it. Let me break down day by day how I felt, what happened in this meditative silent retreat. So the first day that you arrive there, which is actually day 0, depending how early you arrive to register, you have maybe a couple of hours to meet other people, get used to the environment, and just kind of figure out the first steps that you have to take. And during that time, I actually met a couple of people that have been doing this event a couple of times. It was actually their third time doing it. So right off the bat, when I heard that, I knew that this was going to be amazing. This was going to be life-changing because there were several people that were doing it not for the first time. They've been doing it a couple of times. So right off the bat, I knew that this is going to be fun. So once you go into the evening, we do the first group meditation. They teach us what they need to teach us. And then right away, we go into the silent state. So you're actually very excited. It's not even the first day. You're just kind of figuring things out. So it's really fun. First day rolls around, same thing. Actually, the first couple of days, you're trying to figure out how the schedule works, what time you're going to wake up, how many times you're meditating, what's your comfortable position to meditate, and all of this stuff. And the first 3 days was 100% a technique that they taught us, which was Anapana. So it was only that. Anapana is actually being aware of your breath. So just concentrating on your breathing and going in and out. And they give us little techniques as we go on every single day until the third day. So the first couple of days, like I said, it was just getting used to it. So you still had the momentum. It was still fresh. You were still okay. The third day, what happened for me is I instantly noticed that we were segregated from the girls and the guys. Now, logically, I knew this. I read this when I signed up. I knew it. But I don't know why on the third day it kind of hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. I do not know the last time in my life that I wasn't near a female energy. And that's anybody. It could be your mother, sister, friend, whoever it is. And I started thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, I've never been far from that energy. And I really noticed that yin and yang effect, so the female and the male energy, that they do coincide really in a very good way. So the fact that it wasn't there, that was something that kind of hit me. First, that was actually the third day, like I said. So as we go to the fourth day is actually the day that they teach us the actual Vipassana meditative technique, which is essentially scanning your body from head to bottom and really understanding, being acutely aware of every single sensation that you're feeling during that time, and understanding if there is a bad sensation or a good sensation, to really look at it with an equilibrium mindset, which is a balanced mindset, and don't give it a positive or negative judgment to whatever you're feeling. Just be aware and notice that feeling that you're having. So once we get into that, the fourth day, we have already 4 days in, we've been practicing our breath, and we're really seeing some strides that we're doing by ourselves, right? And it's really interesting. So the fourth day goes around and you're like, all right, cool, I got 6 other days to figure this out and get even better. So for me, once the 5th day hits, approximately in the middle of the 5th day, I have my aha moment. I truly understand why I was meant to be there, why the universe put me there, and I got what I need to learn from what I've been doing in the past, what I should be doing in the future, in my personal life, in my business, and all of that. So as soon as I get that, in my mind, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm done. I got my answers, I'm ready to go, let's go, let me leave from here. That's kind of the mindset that I got involved in, and I was ready to leave. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm done, let's get out of here. I actually thought that I got all the information I need and I had nothing else to learn, which obviously wasn't factual. I knew that there were so much more things that I was going to learn in the next 5 days, but I was kind of fed up of the whole environment, to be quite honest. So got to the 6th day, and then my mood shifted. So I was back in a positive mood. I'm like, all right, cool, let's keep on growing, let's keep on developing this. So kept on doing that. 7th day rolled around, back to a negative mindset. I do not know why. I'm not a negative person, but it was really straining on the body, on the mental state of mind. And during that time, I actually had little hints that I felt that, okay, wait a minute, I could still keep on pushing, let's keep on doing it. And in my mind, honestly, there was no way that I wasn't going to finish the 10 days. I was just pushing through it. I just thought it was going to be a bit easier. And oddly enough, it's so funny. I actually thought going into this that I was going to be like a linear difficulty level towards something more easier. Like in the first couple of days, it was going to be difficult to get used to it, and then we're just going to get gradually easier and easier. And looking back at it, it's so crazy how the human brain works and how the human mind works, how inaccurate that is. Because it was the depiction of reality, which is life. You know, sometimes you're up and then you go back down and then you go back up and you go back down until you get a little stride and whatever the case is. And that's exactly what my experience was. So after the 7th day, I got to the 8th day, and then it was smooth sailings to really go ahead, because now I was closer to the end and I was getting excited to implement all these techniques that I've been learning and all this time that I've had to really reflect on everything that I've lived with. And so many things came up, which was pretty crazy. Things that I didn't even think about that were inside of me, that were bothering me, came up. So you really have the opportunity to really be in your bubble and to think and to really look at all the answers within. Because honestly, first of all, you had no social media, no electronics, no books, no notes, none of that. You're really by yourself with your thought, not speaking to anybody else. And that's what they wanted to create. So the 10th day comes along, and after like the first morning meditation, we're allowed to speak. We're allowed to speak to each other. So we're really, I was excited to speak to other people, and then you just go into it. And first thing I realized, first of all, it was kind of awkward right off the bat starting to speak with these people that literally, like I said, I only met a couple of people in the first hour of the day 0, let's say. And I spent 10 days with people that I never spoke to, but we have this connection going through this situation, this event, this meditative retreat together. And then you have a chance to speak to them. And one thing I realized is, once again, how as humans, we judge people. You know, when they say don't judge a book by its cover, but how much we do it instinctively. And every single person that I was crossing, you know, I was already putting a story in my mind. Oh, he probably does this, or he's probably like this, or whatever the case. The stupid judgments, right? And not necessarily negative, but you just have a judgment on them. And then once you start talking to them, you realize how completely off you are and how like wrong you are in the judgments that you're placing. And the counterpart is true as well. These people were looking at me and they had this judgment on me as well. Let me give you an example. So for that 10-day event, obviously you kind of dress comfortably. So I was dressed in sports, which is not something I'm usually dressed in. And as well, I was walking a lot. Why am I saying this? Because during those 10 days, you're actually not allowed to do any exercise. I'm somebody that works out from an hour and a half to 2 hours per day. And I'm actually hyperactive. So I did not think that it was going to bother me this much not to work out. And they tell us not to work out. Maybe I could have sneaked in a little thing here and there, but I didn't do any of that. I wanted to respect the whole schedule. So what we were allowed to do is walk. So because we were allowed to walk, I really walked. Like I was walking 15 to 20 kilometers per day. I was walking extremely fast. So people were noticing that to a point that when I was walking towards, was it in the woods or was it in the gym, they were getting out of my way because I was just walking at a certain pace that I needed to burn my energy, because if not, I wouldn't be able to sit down 8 to 10 hours per day to meditate. So they actually thought that I was a professional athlete or I was coaching athletes. So once again, the counterpart of people placing judgments in this small, minute information you have. So that's one thing that I truly realized. And then continuing it, you actually make good links with some people. After the last day, we exchanged a lot of phone numbers and contact information because you're going through this experience that you would probably never experience in your life. And like I said, for me, there's so many aha moments that came out of this in itself. So a great experience altogether. I definitely suggest it to everybody. And what we're going to do right now is actually, I'm going to talk about the top lessons that I got from this event. And I mentioned a couple of them, but I'm just going to put it more clean cut and precise. So here are my top 5 lessons that I got out of this event. So the number one thing that really hit me super hard was live in the now. Now this sounds kind of basic. I actually know the concept behind it. We could even think about Eckhart Tolle's work, The Power of Now, which is actually a book that I'm going to do a book review very soon on. I'm going to read it in the next couple of weeks. Like, I know the concept. I truly understand it. I've studied it. But this is the first time in my life that I actually felt it. So I realized the difference between knowing something and actually experiencing it and feeling it, right? Like if my sister comes up to me and tells me how her experience was giving birth, or my mother or anybody that's given birth, they could explain it to me and I could try to understand the most possible, but I'll never feel it because I'll never give birth, obviously, right? So the difference between knowing something and feeling something is extremely different. And the way that I was able to feel the living in the now was through techniques that they were giving with our meditative Vipassana method, essentially. I was really understanding the biochemistry of what's happening in your body, and that you're getting old every single day, every single moment, right? You're like changing, you're essentially going forward into your linear life, let's say. So that was the first one. The second one is going to be having an equilibrium mindset. So once again, I mentioned this previously. Equilibrium mindset is really understanding that if anything happens, be aware of that situation. So it's negative or positive. Is it a hurting feeling or a good feeling? And don't create a craving for it. So don't create a craving for the positive. Don't create a craving for the negative. Just be equal and understand that, okay, this is what's happening. Don't give it more energy or less energy. Just enjoy it for the moment that it is. And then it will move on and something else will replace it. So that would be the second one. The third one is all the answers are within. Once again, this was something that I knew, but it's really the first time I've actually experienced it in such an intense way. Anything that happens around you, outside of you, it's really not the outside forces that's controlling it. It's always within. So if you get angry at somebody for whatever situation, in fact, that thing that you're getting angry at is something within you that's just getting triggered by the outside force. It could be an argument with somebody or whatever the case is. That person is just a physical being that you're just associating that inner trigger that you have with them, and then you're blaming them or any situation that we could talk about. So understand that the only way you could change certain things and fix certain things and really improve as a human being is all within. Every single answer is within. So that would be number 3, which is a highly important one. So the fourth one would be, don't judge a book by its cover. So I'm not going to go into it too much because I previously explained it. It was just very interesting over here to have a great example of how our mind works, and we do go on judgment a lot sooner than we should have. So let's just be acutely aware of that and not necessarily go into the judgment aspect. The fifth one is the power of the yin and yang. Once again, I've mentioned it on my day 3 when I realized the female energy wasn't present in my life and how unbalanced I felt for that moment, and I had to readjust once again my mindset towards that. So there definitely is something with energy when it comes to the opposite sex or just any type of yin and yang, right? If you're failing, you are bound to succeed, and if you're succeeding, maybe you're gonna have to check out not to go on the failing aspect. So there's always this counterpart, right? There's not day without night and there's not night without day. So it's an actual law and there's energy behind it. So these were my top 5 lessons that I actually took away from this amazing event. So the last thing I'm going to mention on this video is I'm actually recording this last part of the video a couple of days after I came back from the event, and the work has to continue. During those 10 days, what is happening is you're learning a technique, you're actually learning ways to fix your inner problems, but once you leave that, all the problems are not solved, far from it. Some of them are, but there's a work that has to be done, which is continuing meditating and just continuing working on your mindset and your equilibrium mind when anything happens around you, to really essentially become a better human being. And after I got to, let's call it, back to the real world, there was actually an adjustment period that I had to go through, because I went from not having phones, not having contacts, not speaking a lot, to completely back to our normality, which is, social media, which is phone calls, which is voicemail, which is anything you have to do with business. So all of that kind of shocked me in the beginning. There definitely was a period of time. So if you're going to do it, just be acutely aware of that as well. There is going to be that adjusting period. So maybe you're going to have to calculate that in your vacation time as well if you want. I jumped in right away. Right after I got back from that, I had a meeting in Boston, which I went to right away. So it was kind of a shock. So just one thing I'm going to suggest as well. So I hope you guys saw some value in this video. So if you have any questions about the event, of anything else that maybe I didn't touch upon, leave in the comment down below. It'll be my pleasure to answer you guys back. At the same time, if you see there's value here, do not hesitate to like and subscribe to the video, and I will see you on the next one.